Yeah, I am going to ask you. I thought you knew what.
No, we're giving a poster for
Trivia.
For trivia.
Yeah. What else are you giving away? You're in charge of the giveaways.
And we're giving away a mag light.
What about these?
Oh, those are for What's It Worth?
Yeah. Okay.
And a mag light for viewer appreciation.
Okay. Unless, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I might. I
just ran out of stickers. I don't make some more tomorrow. As I said,
Paul Stannard's been away, but I might.
Yeah, I know. No, he doesn't go. I thought he wasn't going away yet.
Well, I might want to give away some grips.
Yeah, I thought he wasn't leaving until the end of the month.
Yeah, if anybody wants to make a donation, I'm going to put the link up too.
Okay.
But right now, an error has occurred. Wait a moment. Try. All right. Right now, it's time to start the show.
Okay.
And I've got a new guy.
Hi, I'm Steve Simons. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A.
Good evening, everyone. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. Thank you for joining me tonight. We have some great giveaways. We have some fun. We've got some new announcements. We've got a whole lot of stuff going on. First thing I want to do is thank the sponsors of our show, Vmxq&A, the International Motocross Museum Motion Pro, Bultaco East, Vmxq&A, Preston Petty Products, and Full Circle Racing, as well as Amsoil. If you note on the bottom of the screen, we have always had this, and I don't know why I never mention it. Our email is Vmxq&A Live. That's Vmxq&A Live at gmail.com. All right. So we're going to get on with that. Susie's saying something about she can't see herself online.
And I can't see.
I see you right here.
And I don't see your show yet.
You don't see my show yet?
No.
Hello, everyone. Tyler McGregor's there. Ray Lindsay's here. But you don't see the show yet.
I do not.
Hello from San Marcos, California, George Camacho. Vintage mini bike lovers.
It just came.
All right. So I think everybody's here now, and not so much everybody's here, but that they could see.
Okay.
The show's on. Do you see yourself when I do this, Suze?
I only see me. I don't see.
You don't see me
on the tablet.
Okay. Well.
And I don't see you on your phone either.
Okay.
So don't worry about it.
I'm not. I'm moving on with the show.
Okay.
Okay.
I see you on.
All right. Let's not worry about it.
Okay.
Because we look like we don't know what we're doing after 5 years. If you also want to become a supporter of Vintage Motocross Q&A for just $49.95, you will get a beautiful Vintage Motocross Q&A t-shirt, and you'll get your name up on the board up there, just like Tom Miller, Pete Noneman, Carl Ward, et al., including John Kakaval and John Don Zabalski Sr. and Jr. Okay? You could do that. So get a hold of me, and you can donate your $49.95, and you'll get a shirt and some other cool stuff from Amsoil as well. Don't forget to keep sharing the show, whether you're on Facebook or you are on YouTube. Share the show, and a little bit later on, we will have a viewer appreciation prize to give away, along with the stickers and the posters and some other cool stuff as well. All right, right now, we are going to move on to the Next Time Try This segment. Got something very interesting sent in from Oscar Pomeroy, okay? It's probably not something we think about too often. We think about making them not too tight, not too loose, just right. Check this out, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Hello, everyone. My name is Oscar, and I'd like to talk to you about the simplest, most cost-effective way to improve handling and stability on your vintage or post-vintage motorcycle. What we have here are two mini bikes with two completely different steering bearing assemblies. And I want to show you the difference. And I understand they're mini bikes, but this will apply your big wheel racer as well. Starting with the XR75, with the original ball and race system, very smooth action, but doesn't matter how much you try to tension down the front end, you still end up with this very loose, free-feeling front end. And this, when you ride this type of setup, you need so much more control. You can't even you try to pull a tear up off, or any little bumps, whatever it is, you're always have full focus trying to maintain that front end, and any wiggle, and this front end will go from side to side. On the Yamaha 80, I upgraded to a double tapered roller system where I can pre-tension the bearing to whatever I like to my settings, and I just show you the difference. This one here, it doesn't matter where I turn the steering, it kind of stays right there. Very little to move it, but I don't have to fight this. I can take one hand off, take a tear off. I don't have to worry about the small bumps. The bike can wiggle from side to side. The handlebar stays stable. Much more stable and fluid ride on this type of tension system. And in a few minutes, I'm going to take you to my workbench and show you how we go about making those changes and who supplies those parts for those changes. Okay, now that I've demonstrated the visual difference on the mini bikes of a loose front end and a stable front end, let's answer the question: why can't we just tension my current, 72 DT or 74 Elsinore? And because once you take the steering head apart, you're going to find out you're going to have a system that looks like this, which is a race and loose ball bearing system. And there's no taper, no way to possibly load that and increase that. You can only create a dent. Maybe you can throw some dirt in there, but basically you're just running a loose front end, and there's just no way to tension that setup. Another example, this is a Can-Am. They use a inserted cup. They have an insert that goes in here. They use a needle bearing, and then they have a thrust bearing, this really tiny thrust bearing. And again, it doesn't matter how much you go to tighten these, you just can't create that tension you need on your steering. So what is our solution? Okay, here's one solution that I've come up with. There's a company called All Balls Racing, and they sell many different components for modern vintage bikes. They sell a steering stem conversion kit. Okay, what they'll send you for your bike, you go to the site, you use the pull down menu, you type in the year, make, and model of your bike, and they'll tell you what steering stem conversion kit to buy. Now I've looked at the prices on these. It's about $45 or less, and what you get is a lower tapered roller bearing and seat, and a upper tapered roller bearing and race for the upper side. And in my experience, the Yamaha that I did and the Hondas that I've done, it was a straight conversion. I basically punched out the old race, dropped in the new race, and installed the taper, assembled it, and tensioned it to get that nice firm feel, and I was off to the races. Now my Suzuki floaters, my 81 to 83 type bikes, when I went to install it, I could not tension it. And what I ended up doing here, I had to take and machine down this diameter for the bearing another 1/4 inch. So when I put the bearing on, I could continue to tension it to get that nice secure front end. And then with room, using this, I could tension that and secure that front end. So not all of them are plug and play, but for the majority of the ones I've tested, the All Balls Racing Kit is a direct conversion. Again, for $45 or less, I think it's the single most effective way to improve handling on your motorcycle. Far surpasses all the big dollar suspension moves you're going to make. I'm not saying that those aren't worth it, but this is a great starting point for your vintage racer. One other thing I'd like to note is that this website basically covers the 4 Japanese brands. It doesn't cover, Mego, CZ, Can-Am, Bultaco. There are probably other sites that support this or make these conversion kits. I know for Can-Am, when they in '79, when they got rid of this, they kept the insert basically. They got rid of this thrust bearing, and they went to an insert looks something like this, where they actually machined it, an insert that goes in the steering stem, and then it allowed the race and the bearing to go in there, and that's how they upgraded their system. You could do that if you can make your own insert, but you have to make sure that there's a shelf inside the steering stem for this to bottom out, because if you don't, when you go to tension it, the insert will just go deeper and deeper in the frame, and you're not getting any tension. So just be mindful of that if you go this route. As far as what models had it, just to give you a rough estimate, I know Honda up till '77 ran this old system. In '78 they upgraded. Kawasaki was ahead of the game. Then '74-5 they already had a double tapered roller bearing system, which was fantastic. Suzuki was really late in the game. They didn't get rid of this system up top until '87, which is really late in the game. So there are many makes and models that you can make this improvement to. You'll know when you get into your steering stem setup. Anyways, for $45, I think it's a great modern solution to an old age problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert Oscar Pomeroy. That was some great information there. I always enjoy his videos, and I like the way he drops down from the top, and you could see what he's really talking about throughout his presentation. That segment, of course, was brought to you by Vmxq. Keep the ride going. There's never a good time to make an announcement like this, but we're going to get right to it. Dear Vmxq customers and family, we are deeply saddened to bring you the news of the passing of Vmxq owner Kurt Leverton. Kurt was 61. He passed away on July 12th in a bizarre bicycle accident. Kurt was out on a Saturday morning ride with his bicycle near his home, enjoying the air and preparing for an upcoming Colorado 500 charity ride, when a large waterlogged tree fell on him across a trail. He passed away as a result of the injuries. As a young boy, he received his prize OSA 250 Pioneer in his box from his father. The two bonded and they rebuilt and reassembled it together. Kurt rode his OSA all around town and surrounding neighborhood trails in Des Moines, Iowa. Graduating from Iowa State University with a degree in mechanical engineering and an MBA from Drake University, Kurt was deeply passionate about motorcycles. Kurt's first venture was to design and reproduce a connecting rod to build his beloved OSA. With the help of his wife, the two founded a factory in Taiwan, and they could produce just what they needed. Kurt, he soon found a way to get into the industry, and he needed that market source for the connecting rod, and he created a company in 1993 called Hot Rod brand that multiplied into the brands we all know as Pivot Works, Hot Cams, Cylinder Works, and Wrench Rabbit. Eventually, he launched a brand called Vmxq for the vintage market, taking him back to his roots. While the motorcycles were his first passion, he was also an avid race car driver, a guitarist, a fan of everything AC/DC. He was a mentor and an influencer to so many people around him, and brought him absolute joy to spend time with his two granddaughters. Godspeed, Kurt Leverton.
Classic and vintage dirt bikes are more than a hobby. It's not just about the ride. It's about the work that goes in. The work that keeps you connected to the ride. It's about bringing the bike back to life and doing it with your own hands. It's about the adrenaline and adventure. And when it comes to putting all the pieces together, only Vmxq knows the bikes and parts the way you do. Vmxq. Keep the ride going.
Vmxq now has 1974 Kawasaki KX450 rod kits. They come in the standard size. Also, they come in first over, second over, and I believe third over, just $189.95 at Vmxq. Comes with the clips, the rings, and the pin. Sue, I'm just thinking about something. Did I tell you what the answer was to tonight's trivia contest? I told you? Okay. I was just a little concerned that I may not have mentioned that to you. Let's get on with the Moto Showcase. Moto Showcase is brought to you by Preston Petty Products. Tonight's Moto Showcase is sent to us from Dino from Florida. Hi, Joe. There's the info you requested below. Let me know when it's on your show. Well, I did let Dino know when he's on the show, and he's probably watching right about now. This started out as a decent core motorcycle. It was completely disassembled, and the frame and swing arm and airbox, chain guard, seat pan, triple clamps, pegs, etc. were all powder coated. This is a 1977 Honda CR 125. The tank and side plates were professionally prepped and painted to match the new VMX racing fenders. Wheels were completely rebuilt with new gold rims. I like that touch, Dino. It's got Buchanan spokes and nipples. It's got brand new tubes and tires. All Honda nuts and bolts were used throughout the build. The fork tubes were re-chromed and the forks were rebuilt. New oil, new seals, new wipers. The seat cover looks really special on that bike too. I like how you put it on there, Dino, nice and tight with the logo straight on the back. For the rear shocks, I decided to use a set of Fox gas shocks, which were completely restored, including new shafts and spring retainer set from Phil at the RCM shop. Phil Fummer, really, really nice guy, makes some really cool stuff. The bodies and springs were powder coated, the correct colors. The motor was disassembled and rebuilt using Vmxq parts, including bearings, the rod, everything else that was available, including the gaskets, all from Vmxq. This includes the crank rebuilt with a new rod kit, the new clutch, bearing, seals, and fresh second overbore, and a new piston kit. Well, I'll tell you what, Dino, I love everything about this bike. I happen to think, as far as looks go, now this wasn't a really big performer, the 77, 78 CR 125s, but boy, they looked really nice, and I loved it with the all red frame and the, it was quite a close takeoff to the works bikes from Honda at that time, and I thought it looked kind of cool. Now, not the greatest performer maybe, but certainly a great looking bike. And Dino, I want to thank you for sending that bike in. If you get me your mailing address, I will get you some stickers and maybe some other cool stuff, compliments of Susie Creates and Vintage Motocross Q&A, whatever other cool stuff we have laying around here. That segment is brought to you by Preston Petty Products. Be sure to visit them online at PrestonPettyProducts.com. And just like that, it is time for trivia. I know this is everybody's favorite segment of the show. I'm going to cut over to Susie. Susie, what do we got tonight for a prize? I know it's the same thing every week, but you know what it is? I just love to see you on camera.
This lovely poster, courtesy of Michael Cook.
Yeah, really nice.
Very nice.
Cover picture from a 2004 Racer X. There it is right here. And it is 18 by 24. Comes in a beautiful round hard tube. To be protected along the way. And that is brought to you by Motorcyclist Illustrated on Facebook. Don't forget to keep sharing the show, guys. Mention where you're watching the show from, too. I always like to know about that. Now, we've talked up the poster enough. We talked about Mike McCook. Oh, trivia is call-in only. You will be speaking to one of our beautiful operators if you call 925-784-2195. That's 925-784-2195. Do not answer in the comments, guys, please. It kind of spoils it for the other guys that want to call in and play along with the game. All right? So you probably got that number right there in your speed dial on your phone. 925-784-2195. Here's the question.
Show it on the screen? You showed it?
I did show it.
Okay. Well, I can't see it.
Okay. He was a 125, 250, and 500cc national champion aboard the same brand his entire career. 125, 250, 500cc national champion aboard the same brand his entire career. Who was he and what was the brand? All right? 925-784-2195. Susie is standing by. Dave from AMS Racing always brings us some really cool stuff. AMS, one of the big suppliers out there in Arizona. I've purchased parts from them over the years many, many times. A lot of the racers out there have. So follow Dave Boysden on Facebook. And also, you get over there to AMS and you'll get yourself some really cool stuff. Now, of course, I'm just kind of getting through here in order to here it is right here. Here's the video from Dave Boysden this week, okay? And yeah, we want to know the brand too on for the for the answer to the trivia. Okay, here we go. Susie asking me questions on the side.
It's a low time original 1974 CR250. It is 48 VIN numbers between the frame and the engine, as the ID book says. It's got a very low time pipe put back on it. Had a race pipe on it that was brand new also. Spokes and the wheels are clean. Stock shocks. Right carburetor. Tank's not perfect. Seat's not perfect. All controls are the originals. Bars, levers, kill switch, spokes, rims, even the bolt-on foot peg. All the original cables on it. Gary Jones and his brother Dwayne and his father Don did a great job taking this bike from the drawing board and making it the refined version that got released to the American public. 1973, everything changed with this bike. That's the correct rear sprocket, shocks, chain guide, foot pegs, shift lever. That's a 75 engine cover on the Magneto. I always thought it looked a little more works with that little dimple in it. But there's a very original pipe, the hanger, and the silencer, and the little bracket clamp. That's the original seat cover on a great piece of foam with a real nice seat pan. That's the optional carburetor on the Microfish, but apparently in 74, the bigger 2mm carburetor was on most of the bikes. 74 Elsinore 250. Bruce Barron won the very first race in America on it. Trans Am qualifier at Saddleback Park. Had a red shirt on, orange red with white sleeves. No name of Honda on the shirt, yet he was hired as a test rider for the bike. Bruce Barron was a good friend of mine and taught a lot of us how to wreck and how to look out for him wrecking us. He was a great rider with a lot of style. And the Elsinore 250, Eierstedt, Mosier, Gary Jones, Dwayne Jones, even Gary Chaplin. Quite a few people rode the Elsinore 250. This was a game changer, and this is original bike. I think I'm going to be taking it to Mid-Ohio and seeing if I could sell it there. There you go.
There you go. That is Dave's Classic Corner, brought to you by AMS Racing. And Susie's back here, and I think we have just a minute. All right, so Dave's Classic Corner is done. Hi, this is Joe Abadi. You are on the air, Vintage Motocross Q&A. Who am I speaking with?
John Nostra, how you doing?
All right, we're doing pretty well. He was a 125, 250, and 500cc national champion aboard the same brand his entire career. Who is he and what brand was it?
A Flying Freckle, Jeff Ward on Kawasaki.
Boy, you got the nickname too.
Flying
Yeah.
The Flying Freckle, that is. It was Jeff Ward. And, you know, I want to congratulate you, number one. You're going to get that really cool poster, compliments of Mike McCook and Vintage Motocross Q&A. And Susie's going to get back on the line. Oh, we've got your address already. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for playing. And thank you for supporting the show.
Thank you for the wonderful show. I enjoy it every week. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. Thanks, Susie.
Thank you.
And there you have it. Another happy winner here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. Jeff Ward, you know what? I'm going to take 1 second to say this. Go and look at Jeff Ward's career. Go put in Jeff Ward MX in your wiki search. It is staggering how many races this man has won in motocross in 125, 250, and 500. His motocross donations and trophy donations performances are absolutely amazing. I wouldn't say he's certainly not overlooked by any means. But I think people need to wave the flag a little bit more for Jeff Ward. I mean, I do. I mean, he's up there with, you know, Jeff Stanton, Brock Glover, and so many more. Certainly a Hall of Fame inductee and a Motorsports Hall of Fame inductee too, Jeff Ward. Yeah, that was Dave Boydston talking to us about a beautiful CR250 just a moment ago. I appreciate everything Dave does for us here at the show. It's time for the Here's the Problem segment. Here's the Problem is brought to you by Motion Pro. Be sure to visit them online at motionpro.com. First question is from Mitch Brown. Joe, I have a 125 CR125 bottom end with VIN JEO1E-2200000. Is it a 79 or an 80? Come on, Mitch, you're a smart guy. It's neither a 79 or an 80. It's an 81. 81s begin with 2200, 80s 2100, and 79s 2000. All right. Google is your friend, guys. When you have serial numbers to anything, just go put it in there with the make that you have. Honda W85, Yamaha T26, whatever it is. Put in the make, put in the serial number. Even if it's a partial, you come up with something. All right. But it was a good question. Let's move on. Scott Behrens. Scott's a good guy. District 34 guy. Up in New York State. I always get District 34 and District 36 mixed up. Why is that? 36 is California. District 34. Scott Behrens. Hello, Joe. What is the best tire bead installation lube product for the everyday motorcycle enthusiast? I'm sure there is a tire bead specific lube product out there. However, I'm asking for all the laymen of the do-it-yourself tire change arena. Scott, let me say this. And it was Scott's question was a little bit longer than that. He mentioned things like WD-40 and other spray lubricants like that. WD-40, certain things like that, not good for rubber. If you ever notice when you want to get stickers off and stuff like that, or you want to wipe down some oil, you put some WD-40 on it, cuts it right away. Does the same thing to rubber. Not good long term. Good for many, many other things, but not good really for putting it on or putting tires together. Now, when I went online and I started to look up tire mounting lubricants, I found a plethora of products that are out there that are specialized for cars, for trucks, for things with tubes, for things with no tubes, for all different types of tires. There seems to be one for every type of tire brand that is out there. Take your pick. They're all good. You know what else is good? Soap and water. Dawn dish detergent. Mix it up a little on the rich side. You know what I mean? Not too much water where it's going to splash all over the place. You want to get some suds in there. You want to make it slippery. You could use that. You know what else is great about that? When you go to wash it off a little bit later on, it comes right off. Not like any other type of tire lubricants that don't always wash off so easy, or any kind of the tire stuff. You know what I mean? It gets a little gummy and stuff like that. So Scott Behrens, thank you so much for the question, and I hope that helps. This was from the Bultaco Owners Group. I also got the message from Rick Harper. How do you get the Tyron shocks apart? Has no nut to grab. Don't want to put any pressure on the rod. Well, let me tell you something. First of all, here's what you want to do. And the picture you sent was good. The first thing you want to do is buy yourself a spring retainer tool just like this. Okay? Hooks up to the bottom of the shock, has those two arms on it, goes up the side. You hook on the spring just like you have here. You pull that spring down. If you do not have one of those, you are looking at getting hurt. It's going to make the job extremely difficult, and there's a good possibility you're going to get hurt along the way. Get the right tool, $30. You're going to use it again and again. Now, getting back to your question. Once you pull that spring down like that, you're right. There is no nut underneath there. And I have something like this right here that shows exactly what you're talking about. See the nut? And this piece screws off. You can lock onto that nut. Also, if you look very closely in the camera, you can see that the shaft itself is squared off right there on that side and right there on that side. I'm guessing about a 12 millimeter wrench would hold that, and it would hold the nut too, and you would be able to get this off. And that's what you're looking to do in the end, is get this off. Okay. It looks like the shaft you have there has a little wear or pitting at the top. What I'm going to recommend is you get a bottle of MAP gas, not propane. MAP gas would be a little hotter. Then you get a needle nose vice grip like this. They're thinner, and you're going to grab it right at the top underneath where the eye is on the shaft. You're going to heat it up really good. You're going to put it in a vise so you don't have to handle it. Then you're going to put something in that eyelet, and you're going to spin the top of that thing off. Don't forget to heat it up. Might be a good idea to take out that rubber bushing as well before you put the heat on it. Otherwise, it's going to melt. Okay? So, MAP gas, the spring tool, a needle nose vice grip like this. Grab it toward the top, right underneath where the eye is. You're worried about marring it a little bit, you could put a piece of thin sheet metal around it, grab it with that, and it looks like you're going to have those shocks or that shaft re-chromed anyway. So I hope that information was helpful to you. That's the way I would do it. Thank you, Russell Waters and AMSOIL, for being a big part of Vintage Motocross Q&A. You want to buy directly from Russell, you can go to www.theoilpeople.shopamsoil.com. And Russell, I love the shirt that you sent me. It's really comfortable. I like the fabric. I like the way it's made. I like the logo. You know what's really cool? The back. And I didn't want to turn around and show it to you. And besides, I don't have that Dolph Lundgren physique that often is best in showing off clothing. But check this out. I love the smell of two-stroke. I love the smell of two-stroke in the morning.
In the morning?
In the morning. All right? Amsoil. They got shirts like that. Great lubricants, too. It is time for the Works for Me. This is a segment Terry Good and I have been working on for a couple of months now, and I've got something really, really interesting for you today. So without any further ado, let's cue the old PG video. Terry, thank you for joining me again tonight on Vintage Motocross Q&A.
Thank you, Joe. Good to be here again.
We've got something that goes along with what we've done in the past with so many of the Suzuki RH and RN motorcycles from DeCoster, of course, Joel Robert. But tonight we're going to be talking about swing arms. So I'll bring up the bike. You tell me a little bit about the bike, and then we'll go down the line and you can tell me about the swing arm. I think we have a 72 RH here.
That's the 370. RN
Okay.
72, yeah.
And this was one of Roger's bikes.
It was actually Joel Robert's.
Okay.
Roger thinks it was his. But I think who knows whose it was, but I believe it was Joel's.
All right. You know what? While we're here and we're talking about the history, Joel rode an open bike at that time as well?
Yeah, he did. He rode in many international races.
Okay.
Each year, he would get all the 250s he could, use, but he would get one open class bike. And the backstory of this one has a real interesting history and tracing right back to Joel. So I'm pretty sure this was his, but Roger swears it was his. And since Roger won the world championship with it, we have it with his livery on it.
Okay. Now we're talking about swing arms today, and we've got a nice close-up right here. One of the first things that really catches my eye is how much of a production look it has. And the other thing is that shock. Looks very production. What is that gold sleeve up at the top?
Oh, that's just paint on the spring. Is that what you're looking at?
I guess that is the spring. Yeah, it looked like it was behind the spring at first. As I got a closer look at it, I see it's the spring. Okay. Were they painted if it was a different weight?
Yeah, different spring rate.
Okay.
And they had, two springs, one spring, dual rate springs like that one. And they were definitely in the experimental stage at this time. Now, one thing you'll notice with this swing arm, and that's why this segment should be pretty interesting for everybody. Yeah, this is a conventional looking swing arm here. It looks, but it's all aluminum.
Mm-hmm.
And it's real stout. It's extremely light. So this would have been under Hirohide Tamaki. He was into lightweight, and those lightweight Suzukis, every ounce was, accounted for. And so this has very beefy heliarc. The shock mount is all made out of billet. The outside of the shock mount, and that's all welded to the inside of the shock mount. Yeah, and that's a very thick aluminum stock that's welded into the, slotted into the tubular aluminum. And then towards the front, there's the plate, the aluminum plate, thin aluminum plate that's welded, structural piece of the swing arm. And then you've got the bearing spacer and the bearings inside. So this is the conventional, and it would handle basically any load. There were very few failures, if any, that I know of with this design. See how thick that plate is that's welded into the tubing of the swing arm, on the inside of the shock mount. Yeah, that's really stout. And that's all aluminum stock there.
All right, and this is back in 72.
70, 71, 72.
Okay, now this particular bike right here definitely was Roger's bike.
Yeah.
And while I have you here, obviously this frame is in this condition and torn down to this point. Why is it like that? Were you just refurbishing it, or what
Yeah,
happened?
we're refurbishing this. This bike was only used for the 1973 Belgian Grand Prix. It was made by, well, it was a 72 RN 72 initially. And when Roger decided to take matters into his own hands on moving up the shocks, him and Sylvain Gabors made a drawing, actually in a restaurant in Belgium on a napkin, you know, that old story, the old wise tale. So they actually did that. And then they took this RN 72 frame over to Mr. Tilkens, the guy that invented the monoshock, Lucien Tilkens, and they cut it all up, and Mr. Tilkens welded it. And this was just prior to the Belgian Grand Prix at Namur. And so once it was successful and worked really well, then Suzuki copied it and sent frames to Belgium, you know. But what you see here, this photograph, archive photo you see of Roger on the bike, that's it. That's the 70, that's the one that Roger, Sylvain, and Mr. Tilkens made up. And if you notice,
you can see there where the shock is moved up in the back.
yes, and you can see the original position where it was.
Yeah.
See behind it about 3.5 inches?
Yes, sure.
That was the shock mount in the original position. Also, notice the tan duct tape on the, well, it is tan, the duct tape on the airbox. It's exactly as it was.
Yes, it is.
That twin air sticker that you see that's on there now, it's in a different location. Yeah, if you could zoom in, you can barely see it in this picture now, but the glue from the original location is still there. And so we'll remove that sticker back to where it was. But we're refurbishing this bike right now.
All right.
It's amazing this bike even exists.
Let's talk a little bit about. Hang on a second, sorry.
I can talk a little bit more about this while you're doing what you're doing. Yeah, this is when the FIM put the weight limit on, and so this Suzuki had to artificially fatten them up the bikes to meet the FIM requirements for 73, and this had to meet those requirements for that Belgian Grand Prix. You'll see in a minute that the swing arm, instead of made out of aluminum like the 70 through 72 bike was, this one is made completely out of chrome moly steel, and it's very heavy, especially compared to that 72 swing arm you just saw. So anyway, if you want to get back to the swing arms on this, if you can scroll forward a little bit, Joe.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do, Terry. And here's a picture of it, much closer right now. We can see the welds and how the mounts were made.
Yep, that's all steel. That's all chrome moly steel. Even the adjuster, the little sleeves that go in through the chain adjusters and those nuts, you know, you can see the one on the far, you know, the far one is, you know, rusted a little bit. And so, all, you know, and earlier, all that was titanium. So that, yeah, that entire swing arm. And see the different shock mount, you know, at two different locations for the shock. Yeah, and you'll, if you go back to that archive photo of him at Namur.
Yeah.
Right there.
One?
See him there? There it is.
Yeah.
So this is that swing arm, and this swing arm goes to that chassis, and that chassis is the one that you just, yep, there it is. You can even see the boot wear marks on the frame. It's just amazing. It's just frozen in time.
All right. That was the Terry Good video. We put that together. I think it was the day before yesterday. It's like a half hour long. And we talked more about more shocks, more swing arms, and Roger's influence on moving up the shocks and things like that. I will post it right after this show finishes, along with another video that we'll be talking about in a moment. Right after this show finishes tonight, I will post that on the Vintage Motocross Q&A page. What happens when I sit down with Terry Good and we do this over the wire, and he starts showing me pictures and we start to talk, I forget sometimes that it's actually for this show. And we just become involved in conversation, and it goes on for quite some time. And I don't want to edit it down because there's so much great information there. So I'm going to cut that one short for now, but I will post it on the Vintage Motocross Q&A page right after we wrap up the show tonight. And you can hear the rest of the story about all the swing arms, Roger, Joel, Tilkins, and all the people that were involved in that. Susie, have a seat. Let me see what's going on here.
With what?
I see it. Oh, sit down so I can see you, sweetie. There you go. I just want to see now if...
Now I'm...
Do you see both of us?
Now I can.
Now you do.
'Cause
Okay.
I wasn't on stream yet.
All right. Well,
You didn't enter me into the studio.
now you are. And you're beautiful and very colorful. Very twinkly, very sparkly. All right?
Yeah, my name is not Iris.
Definitely not Iris. All right, here we go. And the next segment of the show is Works for Me. We did that. International Motocross Museum. Yeah, let's run the International Motocross Museum commercial, and then we'll be back with more Vintage Motocross Q.
Hi, I'm Tommy Croft, and you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A with Joe Abadi. We'll be right back with my dear friend Joe.
Motocross struck America, coming from Europe like a lightning bolt, striking the hearts and minds of people all across the country and the world. Battles of intense racing and cutting rivalries with loyalty to brands and heroes intensified as years of blood, sweat, and dirt flew through the minds of those memories of champions as they wrestled their machines through almost impossible tracks. But where are those past champions? And where are their bikes? Terry Good, an ex-pro motocross racer, has made it his life mission to honor these heroes and the bikes they rode to stardom. We raced, we rode, we lived and breathed motocross. Go back in time and relive those moments, now preserved for the first time ever in the world's first museum dedicated to the history of motocross. Our new building is in the gate. Help us get a great start and you can be part of history. Go to internationalmotocrossmuseum.org and become a part of our team.
The International Motocross Museum is a not-for-profit 501c3 organization. Be sure to visit them online at internationalmotocrossmuseum.org. It is time for the What's the Word segment of the show. This is the segment where you, the viewers at home, take a mad guess at what you think this bike recently sold for, and whoever gets closest without going over will get these two beautiful stickers, compliments of Suzy Creates and Vintage Motocross Q&A. Tonight's bike is a 1972 Monarch 125, one of only 1,100 brought into the USA over a 3-year period. All right. This bike was restored by Bill Masho. Professional concourse restoration by Vintage Motocross Factory of California. The bike features a low swept pipe, a rebuilt Sachs 125cc two-stroke single cylinder engine. The engine VIN number is 717-6326. The low swept pipe, as we mentioned earlier, it's got some beautiful touches on it, including this rear chrome loop, the turquoise chromoly frame, Acron laced wheels. It's got the right number plates on it. The paint on this bike is outstanding, and the color is spot on. I love the yellow and that turquoise color. The rubber mats in the tank, including the badges, you couldn't ask for more. It's got a Bing carburetor, Sirianni front forks, Girling shocks, triple plated chrome on the chrome parts of the bike. It's got Methler tires. This is one of only 1,100 bikes that came to the USA over a 3-year period from 1972 to 1974. Look at the finish on this engine. Bill Mashow, you didn't. Bill, you are on my short list. If I was going to pay somebody to actually restore a bike for me and give them my hard-earned money, you would be in the top 3. And I don't think there's more than 5 guys, but you would be in the top 3 for sure of somebody I would give my money to restore a bike for me. The fit and finish of everything on this bike is absolutely impeccable, down to the stickers on the rims, the spokes, everything about it, absolutely beautiful. All right. The right tires, the correct shocks. It's got that drab gray on that shock. It's just a phenomenal job. And here are some other, well, this is the list that actually I was reading from. It was a Mecum auction. I think it was sometime last month. Okay. Now, take into consideration, Mecum auction, a very rare bike, one of only 1,100 to hit the shores of America in only 3 years. Not too many 125 Sachs engine Monarchs out there. How much do you think this bike recently sold for? I doubt one of you in the confines of your living room have said less than $8,000. Everybody said more than $8,000. But was it? Was it 5? Was it 8? I cannot believe this bike sold for a measly $6,050, including the buyer's fee.
How much?
$6,050, including the buyer's premium.
Wow.
$6,050. I can't believe it. I doubt you could find a Monarch 125 in restorable condition for less than $3,500.
Ray Lindsay.
Ray Lindsay, ladies and gentlemen, Ray Lindsay, come on down. Ray, send me your email. Send me your mailing address. Email me at Vmxq&A live, Vmxq&A live at gmail.com, Vmxq&A at gmail.com. If you want, and I know we've corresponded before over Messenger, if you want to send me your mailing address through Messenger, well, that would be okay too. Either way, congratulations, Ray. And what was his guess? How much did he guess the price?
$6,000.
$6,000. Wow. I thought it was going to be an $8,000 bike for sure. More. Anyway, there you have it. Did you know is a segment that is brought to you every week by Jeff Kokoski. Got some really, really interesting information every week from Jeffrey. And this segment, of course, is produced by Jeff, but it is brought to you by Bultaco East. Thank you, Steve Brandis and BultacoEast.com for being a supporter of Vintage Motocross Q&A. And we welcome you back in the fall. We're going to have some new specials and a whole lot more coming up from Bultaco East. But in the meantime, we're following up with last week's segment on Royal Enfield. Okay, so we're going to get back to that. And we talked about Royal Enfield being the longest running manufacturer in the world, continuously, longer than BSA, longer than Triumph. All right. Last week, we talked about how Royal Enfield got a start as a bicycle manufacturer, then supplied parts for the British firearms industry, and in 1901 began producing motorcycles as the internal combustion engine came into the world scene. As they endured 2 world wars, the rippled effect of global economies from the U.S. stock market crash during the Great Depression, and even a fire at their main factory in England in 1926 that could have destroyed production capabilities, Royal Enfield continued to persevere, especially with their base model known as the Bullet. When India gained its independence from Great Britain in 1947, one of their first orders of business was to secure their border with the newly formed country of rival Pakistan to the northwest. The new Indian government worked with their former British overlords to purchase 800 Royal Enfield Bullets for the Army's use in patrolling those borders. The popularity of the motorcycle among the Indian population blossomed by the 1955 Royal Enfield of Britain partnered with the Indian company Madras Motors to form Enfield India, allowing the Indian company to assemble from kits 350cc bullets in a factory in Madras. In 1957, Enfield India acquired the machinery and license necessary to manufacture the bullets, and by 1962, India was producing bullets themselves. Now, This turned out to be a very well-timed endeavor because by the end of the 60s, the onslaught of Japanese motorcycles brought onto the world stage decimated the once dominant British motorcycle manufacturers, including English-made Royal Enfield. By the 1970s, British-based Royal Enfield factories had closed their doors, but because India culture is such to remain loyal to domestic brands, Enfield India continued to manufacture motorcycles. Throughout the 1970s and the 80s, sales grew rapidly, and the bikes were given and exported back to England and the rest of Europe. In the 1990s, there was, due to a preponderance of diesel-powered vehicles in Europe, Enfield India made the world's first and only mass-produced diesel motorcycle engine. That is absolutely incredible. Anyway, Royal Enfield called it the Taurus, but it was more commonly called the Diesel Bullet because they used the Bullet rolling chassis to carry the 325cc diesel engine. I don't think this is that bike right here, although we see a very unusual engine in this motorcycle. By the looks of the seat and the gas tank, I would think this would be something from back in the 50s. But anyway, we're going on here, and it's all through Royal Enfield claimed it would get 150 miles per gallon. It was heavy in a way and underpowered, so it was then discontinued a few years later. Now, by 1994, Enfield India purchased the Indian automotive and agricultural conglomerate Eicher Group, immediately infused cash and new ideas into the company. They also renamed Enfield India to Royal Enfield Motors Limited, taking it back to its roots. They also began to work with AVL, an Australian design group that helped to develop the revised 350cc all-aluminum clean burn engine for the Bullet line. Knowing they needed to expand their product offering to a wider market, Royal Enfield soon released a stylish cruiser called the Thunderbird and a 500cc version of the Bullet to export called the Electra X. Well, there you have it. And there's a little bit more going on here. Wow, this is really, really great stuff, Jeff. By 2015, Royal Enfield acquired Harris Performance, renowned British motorcycle designer, and enhanced its engineering. Then they opened up the first direct distribution subsidiary outside of India in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, thumbing its corporate noses to Harley-Davidson. And at that time, and later, the following year, they entered the adventure bike market with the debut of the Himalayan, a 411cc single overhead cam engine, long travel suspension to meet the niche market, the lighter adventure bikes. Although we in America may think Royal Enfield more of a boutique motorcycle, nothing could be further from the truth. Since 2012, the production topped out at 100,000 units a year. They have grown to ninefold. Today, making somewhere between 900,000 and 1 million motorcycles annually. But, and by comparison, Harley, Triumph, Ducati combined manufacture about 300,000 bikes, making Royal Enfield one of the world's largest motorcycle manufacturers. Absolutely incredible, Jeff.
Wow.
All right. Royal Enfield shows no signs of slowing down. They continue to produce simple, affordable, smaller displacement bikes based on classic design with modern but not complex amenities. And at one point, Royal Enfield was a British company that offered models that the Indian consumer market wanted. And now they are the Indian company offering bikes for individuals enamored with British heritage. What an absolutely fascinating story.
Yeah.
I love how this engine does resemble the British a Triumph engine. So many, this one too. Just so many fascinating things about the Royal Enfield company. And Jeff Kokoski, you have hit it out of the park once again. I'm going to have to come up with like an award. You know how they have the Tonys and the Oscars and the Emmys. I think I'm going to come up with maybe a Jeffrey. I don't know.
Jeffrey?
Maybe or a.
It's a Jeffrey Award.
Maybe but he has to get it. So, well, I guess that would make sense. You know, it's like the Tony or the Oscar. We're gonna call it the Jeffrey, and I think Jeffrey is going to get that. Okay, now. I've got another video coming up for you. It's in the expansion chamber tonight. Now, the expansion chamber is generally brought to you by BRAP Suspension. Roger is very busy this time of the year. He's got a lot of great videos on Instagram. So if you want to see some stuff, and also I post a lot of things as well from Roger Neff throughout the week. But I've got something tonight that has come into us from Roy. All right. You all know Roy Vanderveer. He's a great guy, contributes a lot to the show. This is about air caps, air forks. It's a little lengthy, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it here. And then right after the show, you'll be able to see it in its entirety on the Vintage Motocross Q&A page. This goes on for about 15 minutes, but it's really, really great information. The show goes an hour. We've only got about 5 or 8 minutes left. I don't want anybody not to see this in its entirety, but I need to get back and wrap up the show. We're going to go into this right now with Roy. Check this out, then go to the page directly afterward, and you'll be able to see the whole thing. Roy, let's have it.
Okay, so this popped up on the internet the other day on Facebook, and it's a set of Fox Forks damper rods for a 1974 CR125 Elsinore, 74, 75, some of the first generation stuff. As I was reading through the instructions, I realized this is a suspension seminar in how to set up your air assist forks that were very common among the first generation long travel bikes, up to maybe a little further, 81, 82. Everything before that, those were air assist forks. And one of the great tragedies is there was a conspiracy committed against everybody when the folks at Motocross Action started saying, you know, those air valves are not for putting air in your forks. Those air valves are for letting it out. And like most things, it depends. It depends what you've got. I see guys all the time riding around on beautifully restored bikes. One, for example, is two friends that have 1979 KX250 A5s, I think they are. You know, they've got the Olin's piggybacks on there. Everything's great. And they're riding around on forks with 5 inches of travel because they refuse to put air in their forks. I tracked them down, said, guys, this is what you got to do. And because everybody has been so brainwashed by what Motocross Action said, maybe it was in dirt bike too, but it was definitely in Motocross Action, that they look at me like I'm trying to violate their bike when I tell them, you got to put air pressure in those forks for them to work. So what I want to do here for what has become a suspension seminar, and I hope you're going to save this information if it pertains to you, and we're going to cover how to identify whether that's the case or not. But here you go. Let's read through these instructions. Okay. These forks offer 8 inches of the best travel you've ever felt. And I want to back up. Designed and manufactured by Steve Simmons. So this is coming from high above. Here we go. The combination of air plus our unique tapered damping rods provides a soft ride over small bumps, but yet will not bottom over big bumps. No disrespect to his damper rods. That word unique, it's just different. It's not that unique. This is the way those forks were designed early on. Yeah, they're a little different. No, it's not that unique. Okay. So will not bottom over big bumps. We, Fox Forks, here are the riders who tested it. We wish to thank the following riders for their help in testing and using Fox Forks: Brad Lackey, Rex Staten, Tom Rapp, Sonny DeFeo, Mark Blackwell, Billy Clements, Terry Clark, Ron Self, Ron Huffman, Kenny Zart, and Briar Holcomb. As far as I'm concerned, you could have just said Briar Holcomb, and then I know they're great. But, okay. So tuning. Here's where the seminar starts, right here. There are 3 basic adjustments which can be made to tune Fox Forks. Actually, there's 3 basic adjustments that can be made to tune any fork. First, damping can be adjusted by using different viscosity fluids. On the CR125 Elsinore, we suggest starting with Bel-Ray 20 weight. Secondly, the effective spring rate when the forks are almost fully extended can be adjusted by changing the initial gas pressure. Thirdly, Thirdly, the effective spring rate when the forks are almost fully compressed.
All right. You can go to the page right after the show is over. I will post the Roy video in its entirety. It gets really, really good. The way he explains it with the spring rate, the air, and the oil, it's very, very interesting stuff. But I got to move on with the show. Roy, thank you. And I will post it on the page, and we will use it throughout the next couple of weeks on our Next Time Try This segment, which happens at noon every day. Okay. Right now, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from Jerry Maddox and Full Circle Racing. Then we'll be back with the announcements. Okay.
I get asked often, what's the most important thing on Clunker? Answer simple, it's me. That's why I use Full Circle Racing wheels prepped by Tom McAllister. So should you. Watch this and learn why. When racing vintage motocross where suspension is very limited, your wheels can be the difference between winning or serious injury. We chose to run Full Circle Racing wheels because of the super high quality materials and the heavy duty spokes used. Prepped by Tom McAllister, I have the confidence on the track to push way harder through the rough stuff and the bigger jumps, knowing my wheels are going to stay under me. Hey, Clunker may be 50 years old, but his wheels are brand new, and yours should be too. Call Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing today.
All right, we are back live at Vintage Motocross Q&A, and Susie tells me that she has a viewer appreciation prize to give away. Susie, what do you got?
I have David Barr. David Barr, B-A-R-R.
Right.
Is the winner of this great poster.
No, that was for trivia.
Oh, I'm sorry.
John Nostro won that. He gets
he gets a mag light. Sorry.
Okay.
My mistake.
All right.
So the mag light?
Yeah, Maglite.
Yeah.
And who is it again? Barr?
David Barr.
David Barr. David Barr. Here's our email. Vmxq&A live, Vmxq&A live at gmail.com.
Yeah.
Or send me a message on my personal page if you have to. I don't mind that at all. But either way, we need your mailing address. You are tonight's viewer appreciation winner. All right. And we're going to move on right now to, you know what I want to do? I want to thank FastGuyStuff.com and Ben's Vintage Mini Bike Podcast for sharing the show and doing so much for us here. Be sure to visit them, of course, online with FastGuyStuff.com. And Ben has a fabulous little niche market in the vintage mini bike scene, has a podcast. I think it's one Sunday a month. I would step that up if I were you. It's real interesting information, Ben. And I think more and more people would be more than happy to see it. All right. What do we got? Oh, This Week in Motocross History, brought to you by Racer X. Be sure to visit them online at Racer X Magazine. Racer X Illustrated, I think it is. RacerXillustrated.com. You recognize this picture? Very famous picture. July 14th, which was just 2 days ago, actually. It's one of the most thrilling finishes in motocross history. Dutch rider Gerrit Wolfsink crashes his Suzuki across the finish line at the 1974 Hang 10 500cc US Grand Prix of Motocross while successfully holding off Husqvarna's Heikki Mikkola for the win. The incident is featured on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Now, the win is the first of what will be an incredible 5 US GP wins in 6 years for Wolfsink, but it's Mikkola who will go on to be the 1974 FIM 500cc world champion. Mikkola was also the only man to beat Wolfsink at Carlsbad between 1974 and 79 when he won the 1978 event. All right, and there you have it. This Week in Motocross History. Nice to know. Both of those gentlemen are still with us. Heikki just turned 80. I think it was last week. All right. Got some announcements coming up. What do we got first? 1982 500cc world champion Brad Lackey will be your grand marshal at Vintage Motorcycle Days in Pickerington, Ohio. That happens on the weekend of the 26th. In fact, that's coming right up 10 days from now. Yeah. Okay, so not this weekend, but the following weekend, you can meet the champ, and I think he'll have his works bike out there too, signing autographs, having a great time in Ohio at Vintage Motorcycle Days. A bit of sad news, of course, for Donnie Emler. There is a cancer benefit at the Rio Bravo MX Park. So if you're not going to Ohio on the weekend of the 26th, you can go over to Rio Bravo in Houston, Texas. There is an open practice day. The regular fees apply, but they'll be raffling off some really cool stuff, including a Jeremy McGrath autographed jersey and more, all to raise money for Don Emler. Have you been catching our shows during the day? Got the Moto Minute at 8:55, Tank Bangers at 9. Next time, try this at noon. We've got something happening every day at Vintage Motocross Q&A, and we've been using this meta planner that they have. We've been scheduling posts, videos, bikes that we've restored, a lot of cool stuff. Something happening all day long, including interviews. Last week, Don Kadowski, Debbie Matthews. Last Sunday, Sue Fish. Tomorrow at 5, Steve Stackable. And on Sunday, Scott Harden. You want to hear an incredible story about during the Iran-Contra time? Remember that? Ronald Reagan, Iran, Iraq, borders, different stuff going on. How'd you like to be Scott Harden winding up on the wrong side of the border in Iran at that time? It's true. It happened. He was there. Listen to the Scott Harden interview on Sunday afternoon. All right? That wraps it up for this week's Vintage Motocross Q&A. I want to thank you for joining me. Susie, great job as always. And congratulations to all the winners tonight. And that wraps it up. Yeah, go over to the page right after I wrap this up, and you'll be able to see there were 2 videos. There was one from, come on, Gino, come on. Oh, boy. Ah, ow. There's a Roy video, and there was another video that was at length. I'm going to have them both up there on the Vintage Motocross Q&A page in just a couple of minutes, okay? Thanks, everybody who came in today. Again, our condolences to Curtis Leverton and everyone at Vinco. We'll see you next time on Vintage Motocross Q&A.
Good night, everybody.